Hi, this is Art and Up, and I'm Melanie Karasmooney-Otis.
And I'm Christine Ballard. And this is the place where creatives connect, cultivate, and support each other's creative journey. And today we have the lovely Jenny McIntosh.
Hi.
All the way from the South Coast.
Thank you. Yeah, Jervis Bay.
Jenny's primarily a painter and a drawer, and we're going to find a little bit more out about her. Over to you, Jenny.
So, Jenny, let's start with, were you always creative?
Yes. Simple answer. Yes.
Oh.
I can't remember. I mean, it must have been just like all kids, you know, like as soon as you discovered there was a pencil and it made a mark, you just kept playing with it. So it's not, I don't remember ever not having something in my hand to make marks, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I was. And also creative in lots of other ways, like crafty ways as well, and just anything and everything, anything that was making, I think, and photography a lot. So my father, like there's photos of when I was really, really little, so I remember playing with the cameras. So that was the first thing as well. So, yes.
Was the family creative then? You just mentioned your father. So
yeah, the family's actually really creative, but it's kind of, my grandfather was a professional musician, and back in the day when, you know, you had the theatres and you had the orchestra down the front and stuff like that, and he played in bands, and his sister, right up until she died, was always in bands and what have you. And her daughter, she teaches at the conservatorium, and her sons, so my second cousins, they were all in bands. My grandmother played my piano, and my mother learnt, but then my grandmother and her sister, they were all sewers. I'm getting all confused now, but yeah, they were all musicians. And on my father's side, well, he plays flute. So, and what else does he play? Or clarinet, or he did at some point. Oh, just lots of stuff, you know. So we were always learning. Music was everywhere. Photography was the big one, both on my father's side and my mother's side, but a lot of music and sewing as well. So dressmakers.
There's lots of things always happening in the household. That was always,
yeah, there was.
You didn't have to go try to search for it.
No.
So when did you decide from a child onward to dedicate more time to being an artist? Was there a moment that you went, that's what I'm going to really do?
No, I don't ever remember a point. Like when people ask this question, and I know I listen to a lot of podcasts of other artists, and I talk to other artists a lot too, and I think, and a lot of them say the same as me. It's just, I never ever questioned. I just thought I was one. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just thought I was an artist, even when I was really little. I do remember a disappointing moment, though, and that was standing in my backyard, and I had one of the old blackboards, the little kids have, blackboard. And so I had some paper on that, and I think I must have been shown something by Van Gogh, like his sunflowers, because I had it in my head I was going to create these beautiful sunflowers, and it was all about being like that. And so I put the paper on there, but the only set of paints I had was, your little watercolours for little kids, and a crappy little brush. And I was so disappointed that I couldn't make these beautiful sunflowers out of this crappy little thing. I just always thought that I would be. But my family being creative, but they were also very, you've got to get a proper job. And so I kept getting shoved that way, but I kept going, I don't want to. And that's been the pattern throughout my life. It's like I've tried being really responsible, and I've managed to do that pretty well at times, but always with the yes for a little while until I can be an artist fully. Like I'm always scheming to bring it more and more into my life, always scheming to be a full-time artist, because that's all I ever wanted to be. But I was very lucky too, because my other jobs and things, I worked out pretty early in life that being stuck in an office wasn't really good for me. I was able to do it, but I got bored of it. But I also had an interest in the human body and health and well-being and what have you. So I had careers in health and fitness and also massage. So I was lucky enough to have other things that I was passionate about. But the one that I'm most passionate about has always been art. Art was
Well, it looks like you're well and truly set up there in the studio. With
I
that
am.
back up there, is that your studio where you practice your art at the moment?
Yep. That's part of it. What you can see behind there, it's actually really great. It's grown a bit actually through COVID, which was amazing because I was still doing some massage and I had another room that's adjacent to my studio. And because I stopped massaging altogether through COVID, when we had lockdown, my husband came in one day and just said, we were talking about what could we do with that space? And he just said, it's time to knock that wall down and it's time that you just start doing art fully. Because I've been really struggling to do both all the time. And you know what a struggle it is, don't you? I mean, even just your life things that you got to do, you know, the shopping.
It helps Jen to have that support.
Massively. So he knocked the wall out. So now I've even got more space. I've got a bathroom in here as well. And then plus I've got an office, a complete office, because that used to be the waiting room for the massage room. So I'm
set up.
Wow, I'm lucky. I am really, really lucky. So yeah, and you can't see it properly where you are, but I might just see if I can turn that a little bit. You can see a little part of it. That is it goes the whole length of the studio, so you can't say too much of it, but that's a wall easel. So it's just, I'm set up. It's just awesome. So yes.
Space envy. Everyone.
I know. I feel for you. But you've got a nice little space. And that's the thing, though. Like, I've painted everywhere, in the kitchen while I'm trying to feed the kids. Like, you know that one, you'd have to know, you got the easel. That was before my husband, though. I should say my second husband, because there was a first one. And there was a gap in the middle. And so while I had that freedom, it'd be the easel set up by the stove. Doesn't sound too, what is it? OH&S, does it? But yeah, but you just had to keep going. I was in the middle of something, but they needed feeding. The kids needed feeding. So, you do all those things.
So now you're in the studio, you've got this lovely space. I'm guessing that's where you start to plan your art. How do you do that? And with what materials do you do that with?
Yeah, show us all what's behind you there.
Oh, what's behind me? Oh, stuff. Oh, okay, yeah, because I still don't have enough time for anything. I'm pushing it all the time. So while I was waiting for you guys, I was trying to squeeze in a few more dabs of paint onto a painting that needs to be finished. Well, there's these. I guess you mean I wouldn't really like to show you, but I'll do it from a distance. There's one. It's a little watercolour.
I don't have my glasses on. That looks fabulous.
And this one's really crap, but these are thoughts. And this is toward a commission that I've got. And that one, it's just a gouache, which, kind of lost what I was doing in it. But it still helped because I was thinking while I was doing that. But I'm a big one for, I never used to be, I tell my students this, I'm a big one for, thumbnails and scribbles and things. But when I was younger, I was too impatient. And the older artists would say, thumbnails are good. And I thought, oh, far out, I just need to get straight into it. So I'd get straight into the painting. And but sometimes you'd lose the painting in a way. So it'd be like you sort of got halfway and then it's like, where was I going? What was I doing? And then you'd struggle to bring it back. And I have found as I've got older that it is probably beneficial to do some of that planning first, especially when it's a big work, and that one's going to be huge.
I was going to say, Jenny, do you think that that's because your work is more intricate now, so you can't just sort of slip it on? You need the content now, having a little practice runs or little focuses on bits, because Jenny's work is quite intricate, usually on nature, which she will tell us about, but because it's the things take longer to do, so you want to sort of have a plan of attack, I suppose. And is that when you do the pen and wash or the watercolors and the acrylic? Are they acrylics on the table? Because they're quite quick and they can help kind of illustrate your thoughts as to what might be the focus.
Yeah, sort of. It depends on what the work is. Like that was specific because this is a commission. It's a big commission. It's you can't really see the full thing, but it's quite big. And I don't have one reference for this, so I'm pulling together lots of different things. And also, so it was to get some thoughts on how can I get this to work, and also to talk to the client about. So so now we've come up with a pretty good, and I also have, I use photography a lot as well, but that's my own photography. I don't ever use anybody else's. It's always got to be mine. And I think I heard John say something similar. It's always got to be mine. It's always got to be somewhere I've been to pull that together. Because there's more feeling in it. Okay.
For the audience, I know this is a bit off track, but with the commission, how much time would you spend with the client negotiating, the composition and fine-tuning explicitly exactly what they want? There's no, misunderstanding and disappointment with the outcome.
Yeah, really, it depends. Sometimes it's pretty quick and easy, and it's just, we go and we have a bit of a discussion, and they might have a clear idea what they want. And sometimes, it might be that they've provided me with an image as well, although I don't tend to get that as much, but yeah, that can happen. The main thing for me to take a commission on, though, is that I have to feel something, or it has to be something that resonates with me. If it doesn't, then I'm not the right person for that commission, and I won't take it on. And that's the rule. This one that I'm working on now, though, we will spend a lot more time sort of trying to fine tune exactly what it is that she wants. And so she has sent me, because we're at a bit of a distance too, so that makes it a little bit harder, but I'll probably get to go to her place and have a look. She sent me photos and a video of a house, of the colours that are in a house. We've had good long chats, but there's been a few of them. And then I've come back with, reference things that I've got, photos and drawings and things, and then we've it just all depends. Sometimes they take longer. I'll take longer if it means that they're going to get exactly what they want. I'm not going to go, oh, well, you've told me this, and now I'm just going for it, and then hope for the best. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like to be pretty
well explained.
Yeah, and I know that takes more time. But, as long as they're okay with that and understand that this is part of the process, we're not, mass producing things. This is coming from within us, we've got to get it from in here to out there. And then there's this extra layer of also appeal, like being what they want. It has to appeal to them in here too. So that's, yeah, I'm not quite sure.
It's difficult. It is difficult.
It is difficult. It's more difficult than when you're doing your own thing, because I've already gone, oh, that's getting me in here, and now all I've got to do is get it out there, and then I hope someone else might enjoy it or get something in here from it, and usually they seem to, because they buy things. But the main object is that I've expressed. And so that's another thing, I guess, with my art. I've wondered at times, maybe I'm not being very, very business-like, because I just paint what I need to paint. I don't ever think about what the market wants or what other people want. And do you know what I mean? Unless I'm doing a commission.
We could discuss a little bit more about what the focus of your art is. What particular things do you paint, draw, photograph?
For the most part, look, I get interested in anything and everything. I've got a hankering to do some still life at the moment, but I'm still working through some landscapes that I'm loving as well. Time is the enemy. I just don't have enough time to do everything. And I love the human form as well. But if we narrow it down and I had to say one thing, I'd say landscape. And that's because of my love of the bush. And
if you haven't seen landscapes.
And you mentioned that in your spiel on your website that you're drawn to particular areas like Katoomba. And your greatest voice, I think, when people look at your work, you're quite skilled at many things, and that's where the drawing starts from. Those they're sort of magnificent monuments of trees in the bushland that is very particular, that they've become more intricate over time, it seems. And that's sort of, I strike that as seeing you in a bush looking at a bunch of moss now, you're drilling in kind of thing. And it's like that thing you were talking about with a commission, it's about meeting expectation with a commission, whereas when you're doing it for yourself, it's about having a connection with your subject. And so I have these images of you like on your knees in the middle of the bush, you know. And so there's a development there that I see with that sort of intricate investigation.
I think you're right. I think if I think back, so the bush is an integral thing, because my father was, you know, he was a mad bushwalker and in the Paddy Palin days and all that sort of stuff, right? So he's had quite a history with that, and so therefore brought us into the bush too. So in the back of his rucksack and whatever, so from the time we were born. So we've always been in the bush. So it's that connection. So I think it started off with the painting about, well, actually, if I go right back, so when I was around about 10, 11, something like that, it's like most kids, it's like, oh, I've got to make it look like that, try to do that, you know, so I did that. So that's my first plein air. I can remember down at North Era, actually, one time, got terribly burnt out painting, and I dragged all my art gear with me, and my poor mother had to carry it all back out, and she wasn't happy because it was heavy. Because I had everything, including books and God knows. Anyway, and then moving on, I think when I got a bit more mature, it was about the feeling, and it was probably a bit more abstract, sort of, or not. I've never been totally abstract, but semi, you know. But it was more, oh, how do I feel this? How do I make this, you know? And then I think it's moved on from that and become much more, I've always had a love of realism, so I've just allowed myself to do that. I think I was a bit influenced through the 80s as well, that you know, when you were a realist, you were told you were far too tight and loosen up, and what do you want to do that for? A camera can do that, and blah blah. But there's the challenge though, because I think photography has influenced me a lot, because I had a dark room. My father had a dark room, you know, and I had a studio, lucky enough too. That was the dark room studio from when I was very young. So, so I think it definitely has influenced my work as well. But how do I now? I'm still into realism, like I'm allowing myself to do that right now. But I don't. It has to have a soul. And I think it does. I think, you know, I sort of, when people say that if you're going to do realism, it doesn't have a soul because the camera could have done that, I don't think that's true. That's not true. Go up and have a look at the brush marks on there, you know. Maybe you might say that's true for something that's really hyper realist and there's not a brush mark in sight. And I don't know, but for the most part, a lot of realists' work, go up and have a look. Just have a look at that. That's not a photo.
Your subject matter is nature, so you can't say there's no soul in that. And you do go, you know, to great efforts to get every mark.
Well, I think, yeah, but it's funny because although I've become quite detailed and I have been doing that, I also have a hankering to go back a few steps. You know, and I need to get back out and do a lot more plein air. And I think actually one of the things about, I think John was saying this too when in his thing, I was listening to it, you have to have done a lot of plein air to be able to sit in the studio and then paint. So for me, it's a combination of drawings when I'm out. If I haven't been able to draw, it's the photographs or the combination of, but big is the amount of, like, just that you've spent so much time there and you've been looking, observing. And then when you come back to the studio, I can be back there.
But Jenny, isn't that the part of the connection that you're talking about?
Yes.
Like the soulless thing. And I know coming from design world, you can produce something and it has no soul because you don't care about it. But when you've sat there and been inspired by that landscape, you bring that soul back with you, and it's like you and the painting working together.
Yes.
That's the soul. And with other people, if other people don't understand that, then I don't think the artist should be relatively that concerned, because you made that happen, and you know a good painting has that soul in it, and the right people will feel it and see it. But the artist gets the most joy out of that connection. That's why you want to be an artist, because it feels good, and it's the way you see the world differently. And I think when people look at your works, especially your big monumental gum tree, or not gum trees, they're probably particular trees. Jenny might be a specialist in the tree forest.
No, I just, you know.
There's something there. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of your big monumental tree works even though they might be quite small, it's about the magnificence of looking up. Is you spend a lot of time looking at the roots, and there's something there that I don't know whether it's grounding or there's definitely a zoning in where, you know, people look at trees differently in different ways. But for you, there's a lot of from the base up, and whether that's maybe that soul that you're talking about.
What can you hug? You know, what part are you closest to? I just, you know.
It's true. I was there this morning hugging a tree.
No, Melanie, you're a tree hugger too.
I love your work, Jen. Tell us though, you know, you talked about earlier about there's not enough hours in the day, not enough time. What about times where you hit, you know, a rough spot where you go, I'm just not feeling motivated. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the soul of the work. What do you do to, you know, dig yourself out?
Actually, funny enough, I'm going to touch some wood. I haven't experienced that for a very, very long time. When I say that, not while I'm working. When I experience that is when I'm totally running out of time. I'm totally needing to get this stuff done by a deadline. And also too, sometimes it's like when I say, I'll get this stuff, sometimes it's like, I want you to be there. You need to be finished. You can't not, you know, I have to. And because of the detail that takes a long time, silly me, but because I'm my own worst enemy, really, it comes after many nights of, you know, working from the time you get up until, say, 2 in the morning or something, and something stupid, and you've done that for days on end, and then you finally get it there. Then I can be really flat. Then I can be exhausted. And I think the way to get out of that is it's pretty much, I don't know, maybe a day or two off from painting, maybe a little bit of time off. That doesn't tend to worry me too much. The big one, I think, is just maybe connecting with some friends that I've ignored during that time, or simply the best one, of course, is just getting back out, going for a walk in the bush because that rejuvenates. So it just, yeah, I don't tend to get, there are tricks you can do, and sometimes I've had workshops in that, you know, and most artists will know what some of those tricks are to get your creativity going again. But I don't tend to need to do that. It's just as soon as I've rejuvenated again after that flat spot, then I'm just into it, because I've come to realise that I'm not going to live long enough to do everything I want to do. I never thought that. I always thought, everyone accused me of always wanting to do too many things, but I was like, yeah, no, heaps of time. So, you know, and I've got this massive list, so you just keep going through it. But now I've suddenly realised that I probably need 10 lives to do everything.
Yeah.
And that is going to happen. Maybe it might, reincarnation, but I don't know.
So how do you tackle the social media stuff? You and social media, how you get on? How we going there?
I'm pretty crap. I go in fits and spurts. Yeah, I'm not like, I get excited about it sometimes, and I get all these ideas about what I should do. And I've researched it to the cows come home around about, yeah, this is how you go about this, and this is what you do. I don't have time most of the time. There's the simple answer.
I see that you're with the Fern Street Gallery, and great posts, great marketing.
Oh, yeah, but Kerry behind that, she's wonderful. She's a powerhouse. She's very good at it. Although sometimes now we need to send things to her, and then she just keeps the posts going. And I think if you ask her, I'm probably one of the slow ones about getting that stuff to her. I try. Look, sometimes I get really enthusiastic, and even on my own Instagram and Facebook, and I do get all excited and do things, you know. But that means I've got to stop painting while I'm doing that. That's the problem, you know. Yeah, I need to have a personal assistant come in and just do it all for me.
Yeah, I think the thing though with the social media is if you package it up, you do like 10 shots and then they're saved you for the next couple of weeks. That can help.
Yeah, probably.
You actually artists do lots of things. We just forget. Yeah. This morning over coffee, bang, 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 bang. to someone who's not an artist, just seeing your process, where you probably might look and go, oh, I have to clean that up, or haven't cleaned those brushes, that might be a shot, you know, that sort of, it's a bit of a social, it's sort of a little sneaky peek into your studio sometimes. And that's how people find people, you know, they might like your process, or they might really like your studio, because you do a lot of workshops, I know, and I'm pretty sure you're out of your big space.
Do you know what? It's so funny. You know, I think like the space isn't too messy at the moment, but tomorrow morning it'll be all nice and cleaned up because I've got a Thursday class. And it's because I teach in this space that kind of keeps it pretty organised. Although I do work better if I'm organised because I can find everything. But when we have a break, like in the school holidays, it becomes like crap everywhere. It's a real mess. Yeah. But you're right. I think some of the posts that I've done in the past of the studio often get a lot of attention. I think, I don't know. One of the things is too, I guess, because I do a lot of detail and stuff. So to me, I think, if I post another photo of that, no one, you know, you're not going to really see what I've been doing. So I wait a while.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And usually, though, I have, when I'm really getting closer to an exhibition, I'll have like, you know, not dozens, but a lot of paintings on the go. I think 13 has been the most on the go at one time. Sometimes there's been a few others that could have been counted, but not. And then I just keep rotating through, like, and that was in my work
right now. What have you got? Anything in the studio going right now? Speaking of
one, two, 3. There's a couple over there that I should do something about. There's a couple, but
I know you've got the commission happening, and
it's been more of my focus just at the moment because I want to get the make sure that I've got the composition and the colours and the idea all set and ready to go. I have to give a plug. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Edward at Pigment Lab. He's my man for the Rob actually stretched this one, but oh my God, they're tight as a drum. They're just such good quality. And that's really important to me, is the quality. If anyone's going to buy my work, I just want to know, like, the quality has to be there. It's that's really important to me. So
who did you mention?
Edward from Pigment Lab.
In Moore, and quite a reputation. He does a lot of work. I think part of being an artist, and that's one of the nice things, is this sort of community we talk about is about your network of suppliers.
Yes, very much so.
Each other, and it's really good. And they take pride in it, as much pride as you take in your artwork. They take pride in supplying you the good quality materials.
And that's very true.
It gets smarter when you go to those types of places. You go to a good art shop, or you go to a good, you know, stretcher or something like that. They can tell you a lot of knowledge, and that's part of the exciting thing. I think artists like learning. We love learning about that. So that, I know Edward will tell you about different brands of paint. He specializes in bringing different colors into Australia. And so he has that passion that most people have for their art. He has it for the supplying of artwork and material.
And that's to point that out for other artists as well. It's good to point out some good
buying online won't cut it. Go to the art shop, talk to those guys. They're all artists usually.
Hey, tell us what's going on. I know I mentioned Fern Street Gallery. Tell us where that's at. Give them a shout out, and also what's going on with your little adventure for the rest of the year.
Oh, okay, for me. All right, so Fern Street, I joined Fern Street Gallery. Fern Street Gallery is an award-winning gallery. They got some, what's that, a year ago or so, whatever. They got a tourism award they're in Gerringong, and it's a beautiful little gallery. Very, very popular, as I'm discovering. I only joined in November, early November I joined, and since I've joined, I've just been blown away by it, really. It's such a good very professionally run, great artists, the team. There's 9 of us that are the resident artists. Everyone gets on really well and helps each other, and so that's been great. We've had a couple of group shows where we take over the entire gallery. So what happens, there's 3 rooms. Normally the front room will have a guest artist in, or one of the resident artists having their solo, and we all have a couple of weeks a year where we have a solo. And then the back 2 rooms are always the resident artist's work, and we change it every month. And then we have the Christmas show and the Easter show, which we've just had the Easter show, and they've been so successful. It's been great. So my solo show at Fern Street will be in October. So I'm going to be head down, bum up, and working really hard because I need to get a lot of work done between now and then. And I've got big plans for that. So for me, for the rest of the year, really, I've got a couple of, I've got to get work for Fern Street. Oh, Fern Street is also in the Mantra in Wollongong as well. So there's a space there that's dedicated and is branded as Fern Street, Wollongong. So I'm still to get anything up there, because when I joined, one of my biggest struggles with my work, particularly at the moment, because I'm doing a lot more detailed work, is that the work sells, but it takes a while to produce. So at the moment, I've sold most of my work, so I'm struggling to keep up. So that can be a little bit of a challenge. So I need to put a few late nights in until I get on top of things a bit. And yeah, a couple of commissions. This big one's going to take a fair bit of time for me, and I've got another couple in the wings. And then just painting for me. I'm actually really excited. I want to go back to some work on paper and some looser work. So that's going to be fun as well. Can't wait, because I'm primarily an oil painter, but oh my gosh, I love it all, and I'm really hankering to get back to my charcoal, and because I do love drawing as well.
You do workshops on, particularly I've seen you sort of talk
workshops
about beginner drawers and introducing people into the art process, and it's sort of realism, but how do you take something in front of you and translate that, and that tactility with pencils and charcoal. I know that you do quite a lot of those workshops, not just where you are, and we must mention, where is your studio?
Jervis Bay. In Sanctuary Jervis Bay. Absolutely stunning.
And you also do some at Gallery 1111.
And 1111, yes. And the new one is in Berry at This Old House Studio. So a shout out to them as well. The first one comes up in a few weeks' time, and I'm really quite looking forward to that. My workshops are sort of generally aimed a lot at beginners, although the intermediate to advanced can come along too, because one of the skills I guess I picked up along the way in my teaching of other things is to be able to bring in the beginner, but also be able to help, someone else who's further along the track. So that's it. And they're often in lots of different medium. They're not all just about drawing and painting, but lots of different things. And I'm really quite passionate about that. But I was just thinking, when you were saying, where am I? And you were saying earlier about what's the focus of my art being two particular areas. And I just want to sort of say, Katoomba is like my soul home. That's where I am, not truly, that's where I'm at home. I lived up there, married a Katoomba boy and all that sort of stuff. And I still have a very strong connection there. So I've got work at Gallery 11, no, not Gallery 1111, that's you. No, Gallery 188, all these numbers.
It's up on the wall at the moment, two beautiful pieces on the top floor.
Yes, that's right. Oh, they're on the top floor at the moment. Oh, how nice. Never, because they change around a bit. So yeah, I still have that very strong connection. Now, because I spent so much time there, that's the real soul. It's like painting your old friend, and it's just beautiful. I moved down to Jervis Bay nearly 20 years ago. Oh my God, that's a long time, isn't it? It doesn't feel like it, but I found I'm now getting to know this area. So those two areas are primary. And for here, it's more discovery, because it's somewhere I'm not so familiar with, and it's coastal. It's very different to being down in those valleys and up on the cliff tops and what have you. And then if I go somewhere else, like the desert, I've been out in the desert and any other, like somewhere that's not familiar, then that's just excitement. That's trying to connect to that area, and that'll be all different, but it's the one that has this feeling of, oh gosh, connection plus has to be Katoomba. So anyway, so that's just me, whatever.
Yeah, no.
So yeah,
we'll put all the information, all the contact details, including your recommendations, in the credits, so to speak.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's been an absolute joy talking to you today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Really good to see you visually show how passionate you are. People
really... I get a bit excited sometimes.
Good.
That shouldn't be a problem.
No, it's not. Actually, it's really kind of nice too, and thank you for doing this. It's great. It's lovely to have a chance to really chat about it as well, especially because for me particularly, I spend an awful lot of time on my own in the studio, and I am a people person, so that's the teaching that comes out there, I guess. But I really love being around people, so it kind of balances things out a little bit. So you've brightened my morning. Thank you.
What we do with this clip, huh? Anyway, thank you. It's been a delight to have a little secret sneak at your studio too, Jenny. And we'll be putting up extra links there for you. And we better let you get back to the studio and not waste more of your time.
Yes. It's not wasting. Nothing's wasting. It's just getting it all in. It's for the point. Yeah. Anyway, I've got to get this little one done because it's actually already sold. So, I know. She fell in love with it when it was like about halfway through, and so she's been waiting patiently, and I've just about finished it. It just needs a few more things anyway.
All right.
That's it.
All right. We'll catch you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.